Welcome back, my dear brothers and sisters. You are watching Sisters Corner, and today's topic is fostering. And we have a lovely guest with us, Davinia Marix, and we are discussing about fostering. Davinia, I would like to ask you another question, which is really, really important coming up in my mind during the break.
Yes.
How about the age? Can we choose the age of the child as a foster child? For example, if I have a child like 5 years old and I want to have a baby as a foster carer, as a foster child, or I can have a 13 years old or 15 years old. So what is the criteria for that? Do we have preferences, or anybody comes up so we can?
So we have an age range. A lot of the carers that I work with children between the ages of 0 to 18. But dependent, so for instance, I have some single male carers who only work with children over the age of 12 to 18. However, through the assessment, your assessor will kind of come to an agreement with what you feel is the right age range, depending on your availability and skills and experience. Within that age range, you can still have a preferred age. So I do have some carers who say, yes, I'm approved for 0 to 18. However, my preferred age would really be from the ages of about 7 to 13. And then I will try and work within their preferred age range. But we also tell carers to be open-minded and flexible, because, you know, circumstances may change. And if you're, you know, approved for a very specific age range, then we can't go outside that without taking you back to panel.
Okay, that's great. Another question I would like to ask you, Davinia. Can I be registered with your agency and the local authority as well? Can I work with both of them, or not? Do I have to be strict with one agency?
Yes, you have to. You can only be registered with one agency or local authority at the time. Yes, and I'm not too sure why that is the reason. But it is about transparency and about information sharing also. So for instance, if somebody's in assessment with us and then another local authority or agency finds out that they're in assessment with us and also in assessment with them, that may not look so good on the applicant.
There could be a difference between both assessments as well.
Yes, and I understand some people believe that, you know, it's the same as being with a job agency, so you can be with this agency looking for a job for you, and you can also be with that agency, but to be actually registered as a foster carer, you can only be registered to one at a time.
Because it could be the difference, like maybe the way you assess a person, a carer or a child could be different than the local authority, because everyone has different like set rules and regulations to have a child or for
it's uniformed and it's all regulated. So applicant who wants to foster through the local authority will go through the exactly same process as if you was being with an independent fostering agency. Yeah.
All right. Davinia, we were discussing about the initial assessment, where you see the child, you apply for, for the DBS, and then you have a meeting with the foster carer, and then you discuss few things with them. So how this process works actually? Can you tell me a little bit more in detail?
Yes. So, for instance,
I think we would like to go from the first stage.
From the first stage, right? Brilliant.
Let's go for first stage, please.
So, if you were somebody who wanted to become a foster carer, my advice would be do some research. Look at what your local borough provides, and also look at the fostering agencies in your area. I think being local to your fostering agency is really, really important. So if you do need that support from your agency or attending training, that's not going to be an issue. once we receive what's called in first inquiry, and that's somebody if they go through our website or if they contact us on the phone, we take down the details. Most important thing is, are you available? Do you have a spare bedroom? Once we've gone through all of those questions, somebody will go out and do a visit to the home and just take a look around the home, make sure that the room and space that they wish to use for fostering is appropriate. And once that is done, and I also like to do what's called information sharing. So I'll tell the applicant a little bit about our agency and how we work, and they can tell me a little bit about themselves, because it's important to find an agency that you fit with.
Yeah, exactly.
Once we've decided that yes, we want to go ahead, I'll encourage the applicant to complete the application to foster with us. Once we've received the application, then we can move on to stage 1, which is doing all the statutory checks. And that really means applying to the local authority, as I said, to check to see if you're known. So we will look at any of your addresses that you've lived at and contact those boroughs that you've lived within to see if there's been any reports or any reasons you've been known to their children's services.
One question is coming up in my mind, because obviously there are lots of parents at the moment, they are known to local authorities. Like, for example, I have friends with domestic violence and they have been known to the local authorities. What is the criteria if a parent or a foster carer have children and have been through domestic violence, and that is obviously known to the local authority, still they can foster a child or no?
I think it depends. I think every situation is different. It depends on the timing of when this happened, how it was handled, the reasons why the birth children came to the attention of the local authority. A lot of children come into the system because of domestic violence. So one of our things is we don't really want to be placing a child back into that type of environment. However, if somebody's been through a relationship and experienced domestic violence and they've come through it, that can be used as strength. That can be used as an experience where you can now understand what it's like to be part of a household where there has been domestic violence. So you may be able
and you can take that parent as a strength, because he knows or she knows how to handle the situation.
Yes.
And that could be a best foster carer, I would say.
And I think that's how we view all experiences in our applicants' past. I don't think that people should think, oh, this has happened to me in my past, or that's happened to me in my past, or I've done this in my past, so I would immediately be excluded from becoming a foster carer. No, we actually work really well with people who've had real life experiences of certain things, and would be able to relate to the children and young people that will be coming into their household. And the children respond quite well to foster carers who have had some experiences that can allow them to have some empathy and sympathy for them.
And the other thing is, I think the impact of domestic violence or whatever they have been through, and the way they survived, that can help the child.
Yes, definitely.
In his difficult time, because this is how they have helped their children.
Yes. And I think it is a lot of, through our training, specifically the Skills to Foster training, because it is a 3-day, and even during the assessment process, when you're talking about your past, significant relationships is something that is also explored in the assessment. And we do have to make contact with any significant partners. However, what we do find is that some of the things that are discussed are triggering for the person who's in assessment. But it's really, really good to find issues that may be unresolved within the applicant's life, and then we can aid them to kind of work with letting certain things go. We also offer therapy to our approved foster carers and carers in assessment. Yeah,
that's really, really good, I would say. How about, we have discussed about the first stage of, to become a foster carer, the checks you do. What is the second stage of fostering?
So the second stage is the Form F assessment. And as mentioned before, it is described as quite an intrusive assessment because we really, really want to know the person whose home we'll be sending children into. The Form F assessment is a really important document because that's the document that's shared with local authorities. And off the back of what is held in this assessment is the important decision as to whether the local authority actually agree to place a child with you. So for us as an agency, the Form F assessment is the tool that we use to kind of sell you, so to speak, to the local authority, and that social worker will want to feel like they have lived in your home. The social worker will want to feel like they know you really, really well because they have now got to entrust you with the care of their young person. So that's why we do have to go into detail in the Form F assessment, and that's why it does take it does take a substantial amount of time to work through because we have to kind of pull that information out of our applicant. And sometimes, definitely in the initial stages of the assessment, people are, maybe not so willing to delve, so
and especially
deep down.
mostly, in Asian culture, they don't want to discuss like the personal life openly with other people. One more question is coming up in my head, Davinia, because we were discussing before the domestic violence in fostering. Sometimes if our parent have been through the mental health services, obviously this is a very kind of difficult process when you separate and with the other partner, and then obviously upbringing the children and everything is included. And then she come out of that, So do you consider those parents as well? Do you see where obviously if the children are having very good health reports, very good school reports, and no concerns, so still they can foster a child?
Yeah, again, it's on depending on the situation, and it's in a case by case situation. I've worked with foster carers who have gone through bouts of depression, possibly, or have been diagnosed with some area of mental health. But really, what we've got to look at is how are they managing it. Are they on medication for it? And as part of a stage 1, we do medical checks, which goes to the applicant's GP, and the GP will look through their medical records and do a test to check blood pressure and all that, but also consider their medical records and give an opinion on whether they think that the applicant is fit to foster, and that is bearing in mind any mental health issues that applicant may have had. So it's, I'd say it's a joint. We get recommendations from all of the services, and based upon the advices that we get, we can then put the assessment forward to panel. But like I said before, we try not to discriminate. And really look about managing and how that would impact the fostering if there was any mental health.
Further to the next stage, obviously all the checks are done, you are satisfied. So how you will place the child to the foster parent,
So that's actually my speciality, that's my field, and
that's
placements.
We can get a lot of information then.
So basically, we create what's called a profile for the foster carer, for each fostering family, and any of the local authorities that we are working with, we would kind of share the profile and inform them that, we've got a new family that's been approved. This is the area that they live in. This is the age range they'd like to foster. This is their cultural background. So we create a profile and what I call a welcome book, and that might have photographs of the bedroom that the foster child will be in, the household, family members, frequent visitors. So it gives, again, alongside the Form F, a good feel of what the house is, detail, and something visual for the social worker and the child to look at. As a new foster carer or somebody that's would be taken their own placement, the first placement, the agency work really, really closely with the newly approved foster carer, and the allocated social worker, supervising social worker, will carefully go through all the referrals that I suggest with me and the foster carer, and we will go through and just to make sure that the carer is comfortable that they could meet the needs of requirement and that are required in the referral, and also meet cultural needs, religious needs, or if not, how are they going to meet those needs? So you may have a foster carer who is not a Muslim.
So you can set a plan. It would help you to set a plan for the child.
Yes.
Okay, this family is not fulfilling these requirements.
Yes.
So we can set a plan.
Yes.
So how we will work together.
Yeah, so we will look at, okay,
their target.
Exactly, you can't do this. So we will look within our agency, well, that's okay, we can help you with that. And then if we can't help, then we can go to the local authority and say, we've got an amazing family here. However, they live a little bit further out and may not be able to facilitate the school run. Is there anything you can do? So we work together in partnership to place the child.
How about the child, if the child is, for example, the foster parent cannot pick or drop the child and the school where he is going is far away. So can you help the child to accommodate in a local school or nearby school where it will be easy for them, or you can help with the travel?
So in the referral, the local authorities will stipulate whether the child has to be kept within a travelling distance of the school. They may say, oh, this child needs to be kept in the London Borough of Croydon because they go to school in Croydon. Or they may actually say they're prepared to put in taxis to facilitate a school run, because they're just, the most important thing is that they're in a foster placement where they're culturally matched. Or the most important thing is, this child's got a disability, so they need to be placed with a foster carer who's got experience. So really and truly, it depends on each individual referral, what takes precedence and what's the most important. Is it a location? Where they go to school. Sometimes they can change schools if it's going to be deemed as a more of a longer term placement.
Relocating sometimes with the foster parent.
Yeah, that can. Sometimes the local authority feel that if there's been a lot of upheaval in that child's life, meaning they've moved about quite a bit, they've just been moved from home, separated from birth family. Schools sometimes are one constant thing that a child has, so they like to have the child to remain in school because that's the one familiar kind of environment that they're in. So really and truly, it's on an individual case.
And then obviously the third and last stage, I would say, to put the child in the foster care at that home, and then requirements after giving their child a nice home. So how do you deal with that?
So really and truthfully, we, as I said, looking at what the child's needs are, we help put into place activities for the children, as I said, ongoing contact from ourselves, visits from ourselves. We also have support group for foster carers and training. We do face-to-face training and online training. The requirements, obviously, for foster carers may be attending schools, parents' evening, reviews. It's called.
Do you see the child progress in school as well?
Yes, so there are lots of meetings centred around one child. So you will have what's called a PEP, which was an education plan for the child, which would mean you as a foster carer attending these meetings twice a year at school. The child also has a review with all professionals twice a year also. That's called a LAC review. LAC stands for Looked After Child. And you have those meetings, and you also have contact with birth family. That might be an arranged contact, a scheduled contact. It could mean that you would take a child to a contact centre to visit their family, or you might take the child and go on a visit in the community, or in some cases, if comfortable, you may facilitate contact in your own home. So it does vary depending on the child, depending on the age, what the role is for the carer.
Does it depend on the child wishes and desires as well? Like if, for example, child wants to meet his family or not?
Yes.
Does
yes.
it count as well? Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on the age as
Yeah.
well. But in all areas where age appropriate, the child's wishes are taken into consideration. Yeah.
Otherwise, it goes to more emotional harm.
Yes.
Harm. I would say,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Davinia. I would like to finish the program now because the time is going really fast.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming in today's program, and hopefully I will see you very soon in another program. Till then, I would like to say goodbye to all the audience, and we'll see you very soon next week in the next program. Thank you so much.